What if everything you thought about those in power was a lie? Imagine discovering that a high-ranking official entrusted with the nation's future was hiding a life filled with secrets no one could have predicted. How far would someone go to protect their power? And what happens when it all comes crashing down? For the wife of Baltasar Ibang Ngonga, a man entrusted with the financial future of Equatorial Guinea, for years she upheld an image of dignity and respect, living in the shadows of one of the country's most powerful figures. But in an instant, everything changed. The video, shared discreetly at first, then spreading like wildfire, showed her in an intimate moment with a man who was not her husband. In a country where reputation is everything, this affair was more than a personal scandal. It was a breach of trust, a scandal that turned the polished image of Baltasar's family into a public spectacle. The questions came fast and furious. Who was this mystery man? How had the footage leaked, and why now? This wasn't just an affair. It was the first ripple in a tide of secrets waiting to surface. As investigators traced the origins of the footage, they uncovered far more than they had anticipated. The affair was merely a thread, pulling them into a web woven by Baltasar himself. He was not merely affected by the scandal, he was at its core. Inside his office, investigators would find something far darker, over 400 tapes that hid secrets no one was prepared to face. Compromising footage of Baltasar with numerous women, some linked to prominent figures, and all meticulously recorded, suggested an intentional misuse of power. What had started as a marital scandal was now a revelation of a hidden life, carefully managed and guarded behind closed doors. The mystery was no longer just about the wife's affair. It was about Baltasar and the influence he wielded. A powerful government official tasked with protecting the nation's financial core. A hidden life, concealed behind the very walls meant to uphold integrity. Over 400 tapes, locked away in plain sight, holding secrets that could tear down everything. What drove Baltasar Ibang Ngonga, a figure of trust and respect, to such extremes? And what caused these explosive tapes to finally emerge from the shadows? Equatorial Guinea, a small yet oil-rich nation on the west coast of Central Africa. By day, it's a place of bustling markets, modern high-rises, and government buildings that stand as symbols of power. But at night, as the city of Malabo quiets down, a different atmosphere settles over its streets. It was on one of these cool November nights that the city lights cast long shadows over the capital's government buildings, hiding, if only temporarily, the secrets that were about to shake the nation. Within these walls, a scandal lay in wait, one of the largest in recent memory, poised to unravel the reputation of a man at the very heart of Equatorial Guinea's power. Baltasar Ibang Ngonga wasn't just any civil servant. As the Director General of the National Financial Investigation Agency, he was at the forefront of safeguarding Equatorial Guinea's wealth, responsible for enforcing financial laws and ensuring transparency in a nation where power and influence are closely guarded. Born into a prominent family, Baltasar was raised with privilege and high expectations. His father, a respected figure within the economic and monetary community of Central Africa, had built a legacy of leadership, placing Baltasar within the inner circles of the country's elite from an early age. Baltasar's journey to prominence began with his education. Trained in finance and economics, he was widely regarded as a brilliant mind. Over the years, he climbed the ranks, becoming one of the most trusted officials in the government. He was seen as a man of duty, integrity, and ambition. Married with 6 children, Baltasar appeared to be a family man, balancing the demands of public service with the responsibilities of home. He was frequently seen at public events, addressing citizens, and standing by the nation's leaders. To the outside world, Baltasar embodied professionalism and stability. Yet, behind this carefully crafted image, there lay another side to him, one that no one suspected or dared to question. In November 2024, a single anonymous tip set off a chain of events that would send shockwaves through Equatorial Guinea. Investigators arrived at Baltasar Ibang Ngonga's office, their sights set on his computer. What began as a routine check quickly turned into something far more shocking. Hidden deep within his digital files, they uncovered a trove of over 400 explicit videos, evidence that would stun the nation. Each video seemed more alarming than the last. Allegedly filmed both within the confines of his government office and in other discreet locations, the tapes showed Baltasar in compromising situations with numerous women, some of whom were reportedly the wives of other high-ranking officials. The weight of the discovery went beyond just scandalous content. It hinted at secrets that could unravel alliances, trust, and reputations throughout the halls of power. This was no ordinary investigation. As the investigators scrolled through file after file, one thing became clear. These tapes held more than Baltasar's hidden life. They held the potential to expose secrets reaching far beyond his office walls. The case was immediately classified as highly sensitive. Only a handful of investigators were assigned, each one sworn to absolute secrecy. As they delved into Baltasar Ibang Ngonga's files, they found themselves caught in a web of power and influence that stretched well beyond his office. Pressure from above quickly mounted, as powerful figures began to voice concerns over how far this investigation would go. Some of them feared the scandal could unravel too many hidden connections, exposing more than just Baltasar's actions. Speculation began to spread. Rumors circulated that Baltasar may have been using the tapes for leverage, holding secrets over officials in exchange for protection or favors. To some, this was more than an illicit affair. It was a strategy. But there were others who saw something even darker beneath the surface, a web of corruption that could implicate those at the highest levels of government. Could it be that Baltasar wasn't the only one with something to hide? Investigators continued their work in tense silence, aware that every move was being watched. Files were meticulously reviewed, and each video was catalogued with care. News clippings and whispers of the scandal began to emerge, slowly seeping into public discourse, hinting at a scandal larger than anyone had anticipated. The scandal broke like a storm across local and international media. Headlines blared the details of Baltasar Ibang Ngonga's secret tapes, and news of the footage spread with shocking speed. The videos allegedly revealed more than private encounters. They suggested that Baltasar had been keeping these tapes as a form of leverage. Each new revelation hinted at a hidden agenda, a strategy to maintain power over others in the highest ranks. Outrage swept through the nation. Social media platforms erupted with furious comments demanding accountability, while citizens took to the streets, voicing their anger and frustration. People gathered in protests, calling for justice, for answers, and for an end to what they saw as unchecked corruption among the elite. The sense of betrayal was palpable. For many, this was not just a scandal. It was a breaking point. An exposure of the depths to which those in power would go to protect themselves. The nation's gaze turned sharply towards the government, demanding that Baltasar and any others involved face justice. As the pressure mounted, the stage was set for a resolution that would determine not only Baltasar's fate, but also the trustworthiness of the very institutions meant to protect the people. As the investigation intensified, the consequences for Baltasar Ibang Ngonga became unavoidable. His position as Director General of the National Financial Investigation Agency was stripped from him, and he now faced potential legal charges. Rumors of impending court proceedings began circulating, hinting at a trial that would be watched by the entire nation. For Baltasar, the fall from power was swift and harsh, but the scandal's reach went even deeper, impacting his family and staining the reputation they had built over generations. His father, Baltasar Ngonga Edjo, a highly regarded figure in the economic and monetary community of Central Africa, found himself thrust into an unwanted spotlight. Once a symbol of dignity and service, he now faced the weight of his son's actions on his own standing within the region. Family gatherings that had once been private and celebratory now turned solemn, with each member bearing the shame of Baltasar's scandal in their own way. His children, too, were burdened by questions and whispers they couldn't escape, isolated by the very name that once brought them respect. In the government halls, leaders debated Baltasar's fate. Some urged for a strict sentence to send a clear message against corruption, while others whispered about potential leniency, concerned over what secrets Baltasar might still hold about those in power. The pressure was immense, not only on Baltasar but on the entire structure of authority that had once protected him. As his case approached, the question remained, would justice prevail, or would the intricate ties of influence shape the final outcome? Just when the nation thought they understood the full extent of Baltasar's actions, an unexpected twist emerged. New reports hinted at a much wider web of influence, suggesting that Baltasar Ibang Ngonga may not have been acting alone. Rumors began to circulate that some of the tapes contained more than compromising moments. They hinted at connections with international entities. Encrypted messages found within Baltasar's files pointed to foreign contacts and coded exchanges that investigators could only partially decipher. These revelations raised unsettling questions. Were there international players involved? Was Baltasar leveraging not just personal influence but something larger, with implications that reached beyond Equatorial Guinea's borders? The once straightforward scandal was now shrouded in intrigue, as each new detail hinted at an even more complex story. The government moved swiftly to contain the fallout and repair its image. In a public address, Vice President Teodoro Obiang Mangue stood before the cameras, pledging a strict crackdown on any public official found engaging in inappropriate behavior within the confines of government offices. His tone was resolute, emphasizing that ethical standards would be reinforced across all levels of leadership. New policies were announced, with a zero-tolerance approach aimed at restoring confidence in the country's institutions. Yet, as the vice president's statement echoed across national broadcasts, reactions remained mixed. While some saw this as a firm step towards accountability, others questioned whether the measures were enough. Social media and news outlets buzzed with debate. Many citizens viewed the government's response as reactive, a surface-level effort to save face, rather than confront deeper issues of transparency and accountability. On the streets, people voiced their frustrations and doubts, some demanding more drastic reforms, while others openly criticized the influence that high-ranking officials appeared to wield without consequence. As the dust began to settle, the nation was left with a sense of uncertainty. Would this scandal bring about real change, or would it be remembered as just another moment when those in power acted above the rules? The government's response, though swift, left the public divided, and the story of Baltasar Ibang Ngonga's fall from grace remained a sharp reminder of the fragile trust between those who govern and those they are meant to serve. In the aftermath, Baltasar Ibang Ngonga's story became a powerful cautionary tale, a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked influence within the highest levels of power. What had started as whispers behind closed doors had unraveled into a scandal that shook Equatorial Guinea to its core. His fall from grace highlighted a troubling reality. When those entrusted with authority abuse their position, it is not only their own integrity at stake, but the trust of an entire nation. For Equatorial Guinea, the impact of this case went beyond Baltasar himself. His story sparked conversations in government offices, classrooms, and homes across the country, with citizens openly questioning the ethical standards of those who lead them. Calls for stronger transparency and accountability grew louder, igniting a movement among people demanding a government they could genuinely trust. This scandal, once hidden in the shadows, brought with it a new sense of vigilance among citizens and a renewed expectation of justice. As Malabo's government buildings stood silhouetted against the skyline, they were no longer just symbols of authority but of the complex, often fragile relationship between power and responsibility. Baltasar's legacy would not be one of respect or honor. Instead, it would serve as a lasting reminder to all who hold public office of the duty they owe to those they serve. Equatorial Guinea would not soon forget the lessons learned, nor the impact left by the man who had once held so much influence, only to lose it all. What do you think of the Baltasar Ebang Ngonga scandal? Was justice truly served, or were there questions left unanswered? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. And if you're interested in more deep dives into true crime and high-profile scandals, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a story. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.